I think it starts as a slow run, but very quickly can move in the other direction. And the same thing would be true about precious metals when the whole world transitions. And maybe China comes out and says, we are backing our new digital yuan that's already had 8 billion in transactions over the last year, that is backing our new Belt and Road Initiative. Oh, by the way, we've been accumulating so much gold, we actually have 30,000 metric tons, as Alistair McLeod thinks, and we're going to peg it to our new yuan. And by the way, India and Russia have agreed to join in on this new endeavor. We have coalesced as a BRICS nation, and India and Russia have this much gold. And now we have 100,000 metric tons behind the new digital BRICS nation currency, which we've run for the last year to make sure that it works. And the immutability of the gold is held on a distributed ledger. So people are too blurred and blinded and infatuated with price. I get it. When you buy something as an investment and it goes up, you feel like a genius. But I will tell you, there's something to be said for the fact that everything is going up or has gone up except for metals. Yet that's the thing that the biggest money in the world has been accumulating. I think that you need to take a step back and read The Art of War and think about a little bit of misdirection. And gold and silver are doing what they're supposed to do. Yes, they're not going up, and in fact, they're going down, but I would argue they're going down a lot less than a lot of the other big markets are and will be. And before it's all said and done, when we cross that Rubicon, when people realize that traditional investments need to be abandoned, where are they going to go? That's when everything changes in the metals market. That is when it will become impossible for the banks to hold back the price any longer. And one of these days, when they keep smashing, maybe they are repositioning. The Commitment of Traders report looks great right now. And you got the commercial banks, the least short they've been in a very, very, very long time. They rinsed and washed. One of these days, maybe they'll just let it go to the moon. Maybe that's why JP Morgan amassed 1.1 billion ounces of physical silver and 40 million ounces of gold. Maybe one of these days they stop manipulating it because they realize that the world is awoken, not just the U.S., but the whole world is awoken to inflation, to chaos, and to what's happened with Swift and Trudeau. And they're all thinking, even if they're not saying it, are we next? And I just think all of these things put together make owning metals more important than ever. And this is going to sound really trite, and I'm not trying to be a jerk by saying this, but the price doesn't matter right now. It doesn't. It's the only island of safety right now where you can say, hey, it is inversely correlated to the U.S. stock market and to the chaos that's coming. And if you are thrown off by the manipulation and by the volatility, this will be the one time to really try to strengthen your grip and your resolve and trust your gut. It's never been more important, Dunnigan. Honestly, it truly has never been more important through this volatility especially.
Yeah, part of the volatility you mentioned briefly in passing is not just whenever people hear that on the mainstream financial press, it's always meaning drops in the market. They call that volatility. But volatility can mean up or down. And the reason that there can be these violent lurches up or down is because market participants really are concerned about missing out either way. There's fear of missing out. Oh, is that the direction we're going? We're going to rush that direction. Or no, we're in fear of flight to safety. We've got to get out quick before everybody else does. But there's that brewing sense that something big is coming, big is about to change, and they don't want to be in the wrong position. And yet that flight to safety is so illusory. If the only place that people have been conditioned for the last generation or more, a flight to safety means a flight to paper cash or fiat currency. And Alistair McLeod keeps reminding us that that's a second awakening that people will have, is that, and it's coming out, as you're saying, when inflation can no longer be denied, that the debasement of the currency and the destruction of the purchasing power of the currency, that it is not a flight to safety, and it's a reawakening of what the actual and original, the essential and eternal flight to safety is not to fiat currencies.
Well, yeah, and even more to that point, when it becomes obvious that the dollar is in trouble or all fiat is in trouble, and one nation dumps it, let's say Japan sells everything, or China sells everything, or Saudi Arabia says we're no longer just taking dollars, and you see countries start to sell that, it'll be that exact same thing. Everyone will start to immediately dump dollars because they don't want to be left holding the bag. The same thing would be true with treasuries. And look at Japan shedding treasuries. I think it starts as a slow run, but very quickly can move in the other direction. And the same thing would be true about precious metals when the whole world transitions. And maybe China comes out and says, we are backing our new digital yuan that's already had 8 billion in transactions over the last year, that is backing our new Belt Road Initiative. Oh, by the way, we've been accumulating so much gold, we actually have 30,000 metric tons, as Alistair McLeod thinks, and we're going to peg it to our new yuan. And by the way, India and Russia have agreed to join in on this new endeavor. We have coalesced as a BRICS nation, and India and Russia have this much gold. And now we have 100,000 metric tons behind the new digital BRICS nation currency, which we've run for the last year to make sure that it works. And the immutability of the gold is held on a distributed ledger. There's your villain. There's your great reset. There's the whole thing blowing up in a matter of minutes. And that's how fast it happens. It's not going to be a slow burn. I mean, people have had so much time to reposition, and people are too fixated on price. They think they're smarter than the market. They think you and I are just trying to talk our book. All I can simply tell you is that the dollar experiment is coming to an end. And I do believe, because the heights to which everything have gone up, and the proliferation and the saturation of the dollar everywhere throughout the globe, as it is the foundation of every single currency out there. If it changes, it'll happen in a way that, like you just said, people will panic and will try to get out in front of it because they know it will precipitously and rapidly lose value in the face of global chaos. So I hope I'm wrong, but I see these things coming, and what gives me greater resolve in that is the incompetence and the borderline lying of the Federal Reserve. Their actions are betraying their rhetoric. They are trying, I believe, to let the market do the dirty work for them. Just look at what the mortgage rates have done. With the Fed only raising rates by 50 basis points, the mortgage market has doubled. They want the market to do the dirty work for them without being blamed for blowing everything up. And I think you could argue that this has all been contrived. And I think the more we push, the more that we push countries like Russia out of the system, who are responsible for 10% of all, global oil production, the second largest exporter of oil in the world, the largest exporter of natural gas in the world, the biggest producer of potash and phosphate fertilizer. We're creating a really big problem, and I think it signals the demise of the dollar.